Hey guys, Marc Seymour from TRG here. Thank you for joining me in this orders deep dive for riteSCAN, specifically sales orders in this video stack. Here we're going to look at what mechanisms are available for order picking and how order picking in riteSCAN interacts with the various transactions available in the sales order function set within SYSPRO. So let's get right into it. First thing, we are going to log into riteSCAN with our SYSPRO credentials. And as per normal, when logging in, we're presented with the riteSCAN inventory screen. I'm going to go straight over to the picking tab at the bottom here. So what are we presented with? We're presented with order picking, generate dispatch, and packing. Now what riteSCAN has done is, while it historically had individual modules for sales orders to handle the various different transaction types, it is now presented with a single module called order picking, where via the riteSCAN administration panel, we are able to configure by user or group of users the transaction type that they will perform. So what that means is, if I am wanting my operators to perform simply a scanned validation of items potentially already in ship, I can do so. If I'm wanting to perform a back order to ship transaction on pick, I will configure it to do so. Or even further, if I'm wanting to take advantage of the sales order reserve functionality, we are able to configure riteSCAN to not only validate against that reserved quantity, but process the reserve to ship transaction as well. Further to that, dispatch notes, for those companies that use dispatch notes, riteSCAN is here and able to generate the dispatch note for you and or scan against items on that dispatch note, should you choose to add that as a process in the organization. So very quickly, what we have in front of us here is the Windows client or the touchscreen client for riteSCAN. If you want to take a look how the handheld or Android or Windows CE versions operate, effectively very similar, matching data, but you can take a look at some of the deep dive videos for the mobile client later on in the deep dive transaction sets. So here we've entered an order of 1025. In this particular instance, looking at the SYSPRO test company or bicycle company as we all know it, we are configured to pick against reserved quantity. Now the interface does not change regardless of what transaction riteSCAN will perform. That all is taken care of in the background. But from a front-end perspective, we entered the order number and immediately we are presented with the line items. We can see the warehouse we're picking from, the stock code, order unit of measure, stocking unit of measure, quantity picked, quantity required, and the total order quantity. So effectively very simple, easy to use. Any of these fields can be removed so as to, again, declutter any particular interface that operators are using. But here, very simple and straightforward. We can either go ahead and scan the stock code that we're picking, or in the instance that you do not have a barcode on the item, you can really just select that item and riteSCAN is going to pop up with a simple interface now asking for a bin. For those facilities using multiple bins, that will be presented in front of you. Also available is the bin query function. If I select that bin query, it's just going to quickly check against SYSPRO and return with what bins this stock is sitting in the applicable warehouse I am picking within. This is a lot traceable stock code. So riteSCAN is of course asking for a lot number. Here we can scan individually, or we can take advantage of the structured barcoding functionality in SYSPRO, or in riteSCAN, sorry, for that matter. What does that mean? We could have QR codes or single 1D barcodes with multiple pieces of content. So I could have a barcode including my stock code and my lot number and additional information, potentially quantity. What that means is when riteSCAN scans that particular barcode, all the relevant pieces of information embedded in that barcode will be populated on screen, meaning that if you are making use of that functionality, your operators will not need to enter the individual pieces of information one by one. What I've done here is just select a lot browse very quickly, showing me my lots, expiries, warehouse bin, what's available in that particular bin location. Why is this useful? Very quickly, I'm able to not only filter on things like expiry dates, so if I want to enforce some sort of FIFO logic or LIFO logic, we're able to bring that through very easily in riteSCAN, or I might just be trying to find a particular lot and find out what bin that is sitting in. So while I haven't applied any filters here, I could hypothetically be selecting the oldest item and I can find out what bin it's in very quickly and easily. I'm just going to pick that item here. You'll notice that as I picked that, it changed the bin location automatically for me because we know exactly where it's sitting. What else am I doing? I'm entering the quantity that I want to pick. You'll notice at the top of the screen here, it is telling me very simply how much I need to pick, but in this case, I'm just going to pick a quantity of 10. What you can see over on the right-hand side of the quantity field, grayed out at this stage as we have configured it to do so. But if we have multiple unit of measure that we can pick against, here we could define that unit of measure that we are picking, and riteSCAN will send that through to SYSPRO appropriately. Also below the quantity field, you will see pallets. Now, if you have visited the riteSCAN pallet deep dive, you will have found out that we have the ability to do multiple things. We are able to build up pallets with multiple items, potentially containing multiple serials, potentially containing multiple lots, on a single pallet with an individual ID, meaning that the operator could simply either scan an item onto a pallet or just enter that pallet for pick, in which case riteSCAN will pass the individual lines and associated quantities on that pallet to SYSPRO, but from a user front-end perspective, very easy single transaction. So that's pallets. Visit the deep dive into pallets later on if you want to find out more about that. In this particular instance, we will just carry on as usual. Before I leave this one screen, you will see a little custom forms icon on the top left of this screen here. If you have any particular custom form detail that is set up in SYSPRO, you can ask of your operators to capture or scan in that information at the point of pick if that's what's required. Here we'll just carry on and process that pick. I'm going to select the pick button, and what riteSCAN is going to do is perform the transaction in SYSPRO and update the screen as in front of you right now. So we can see the quantity that has been picked correctly, and we could now continue with our pick until concluded. What we can do is the list in front of you, we can ensure that each line disappears once it is fulfilled, very easily demonstrating to the operator that everything has been picked, or if a line is presented, we know that there is more to pick. So, without carrying on too much here, let's jump out and take a look at some of the other functionality. If I am using dispatch notes, here a matching screen, but I can process the pick of that particular sales order, but on completion, I can select dispatch. That's very simply going to generate the SYSPRO dispatch note. It will present on screen the dispatch note number created. You could go ahead and print off any particular labels at this stage with that dispatch note detail on, really making it nicely all packaged and easy to use, and of course alleviating the need to go into SYSPRO and generate that dispatch note manually. So you can add that should you be a organization making use of SYSPRO dispatch notes. What else is existing within the orders or sales order deep dive? There is straightforward packing functionality. So if you are a business that requires the pack of items into individual boxes and the print of box labels, you can do that very simply within riteSCAN packing module. We won't go through that now. that was a very quick deep dive or semi-deep dive into the riteSCAN order picking or sales order picking functionality. If you have any further questions or you would like a personalized demonstration, please get hold of us at sales@trg.co.za. Thank you for joining me for this deep dive session, and feel free to view any of the follow-on videos. Bye-bye.